All right, ladies. So today I'm installing the WAM Winch bumper or WAM Winch plate for the Nissan Frontier. This is cool. It's kind of like a hybrid hideaway winch mount, which kind of goes behind either your plastic front bumper cover or your steel bumper cover. The one I ordered is for the steel bumper cover. It's a pretty nice setup. I kind of just got it mounted in, kind of checking all the mounts, making sure everything's good, and then get everything secured and really buttoned down. It's kind of just loose right now, but it mounts to these two frame points right there, and then those two go to the winch plate. There's how the winch plate looks, and there's the hole for the fair leads. These are rated recovery points. So kind of there it is. You have to take off your rebar or your front cross member that mounts up there. And then I also have this loose little bumper bracket just hanging there because I'm gonna need the room to install the winch right there. So I'll show you the underside. So here's kind of the underside of it. You have this bracket which comes with the kit, which comes right here, and it goes on the inside of the carrier plate right there. So all of this is a bracket. You mount these two bolts to your existing frame ends, and then it comes in and has this lip, and it comes on the inside of the carrier plate. You mount these two bolts to that. Try to get a better shot of it, kind of like that. And of course, there's the carrier. So that's kind of how the underside of the frame mounts. And then you also have these two sides right there. Of course, that's the plate where the winch will go. Your fair lead recovery points are here. And these are mounts in case you want to put any kind of a light bar or anything on front, a couple of light pods or anything on front, you put them right here. So looking good. This little piece right here is for the top mount that mounts to this, which you put your bumper in. So we'll get all that stuff put together. All right, so here's the winch and all the stuff I'm going to put on. It's a Smitty built RC 9500. Pretty standard winch. Smitty built 9500 XRC. I decided to go with the synthetic line. I think it's 95. It's a 95 footer. And here's the fair lead. I went with the black. The reason why I wanted this not anodized because I know the rope's going to be rubbing on this a lot, so I didn't want the anodization to come off or have an issue. So just the outsides anodized and the inside just raw aluminum. So that's the fair lead. And here's the shackle that I'm going to put on. The shackle's kind of cool. I'll go and explain this a little bit more in detail later, but I really like the shackle, where I got it from, and how much I spent on it. But nice shackle for sure. So that will be mounted onto the winch plate. All right, so I got the winch out. Just kind of sitting in there now, lining everything up. So I'll get everything lined up, get the control box connected, unspool this steel wire, spool back in the synthetic, and then start getting my steel bumper all prepped. All right, ladies, I had to put this bumper bracket into a vise and trim this section of the bumper bracket right here. Because what's happening is you try to put the bumper bracket on, it was making contact back there and rubbing against the winch mount. So just a simple little trim right there, and I'll get this to line up good so you could use your top mounts to mount your steel bumper. So right now, I'm just kind of mocking up the steel bumper where I'm gonna do the cuts to wrap around the winch mount. Kind of measured it out, and that's kind of the rough design of how I'm gonna cut this to go over those recovery points. So only part that would be sticking out would be the recovery points and that face plate. So it's gonna look something like that. So let's get to cutting. So just kind of sitting there now. That's kind of what it's going to look like. I still need to kind of just straighten up the ends, but it'll look something like that. Yep, something like that. Yep, something like that. So I got all the wiring done. Fairly easy. Like 3 or 4 wires in the back. I ran them up through here, up through there, and connected them to the battery terminal. But fairly easy wiring, fairly easy to mount. Did a couple of dry fits, make sure that the solenoid box, which is here, would be mounted in a way that I could access it with my hand and everything. So next we'll just unspool this cable and start putting on the synthetic line. So got this thing unwound all the way down to the screw. So let's get the synthetic line wound up. All right, ladies, so got the synthetic line all spooled up. Came out pretty good. The weight savings from the synthetic line to the steel cable is insane. I think it's probably 20-25 pounds of just weight savings on the synthetic line. So synthetic line is well worth it. It doesn't absorb energy or hold energy, so if it does snap or something does break, it pretty much just falls to the ground and doesn't snap back and potentially harm someone. So synthetic line is the way to go for me. I'll explain the shackle here in a minute. And I also got the fair lead on there. So I'll start putting this thing back together and put the bumper on and see how it looks. So I get asked a lot how much ground clearance I have with the lift. So there's the ground, and right at about 15 inches of ground clearance to the front cross member. So 15 inches of ground clearance to the cross member. Not too shabby. I think a stock Frontier is about 7 or 8 inches. So that's how much lift I have, and that's how much clearance I have to the front cross member, 15 inches. Oh, and that's with the winch and everything mounted, still have 15 inches of ground clearance to the front cross member. All right, guys, so there you go. Bumper's all cut up, everything's installed, everything's functioning properly. That's kind of the finished product. The WAM front bumper, that's what it's called, the WAM front bumper plate. They make this specifically for the Nissan Frontier. WAM is out of Georgia, and I called them and gave them my truck, and they shipped it out to me pretty easy. So there's the front winch, synthetic line. I think the line's a 95 foot line with the shackle, and the WAM Nissan Frontier front bumper winch plate with my steel bumper kind of just cut up and trimmed around it. So that's the finished product right there. Looks darn good. And I still have 15 inches of ground clearance to the front cross member. Cross member's right there, so I still got to figure out if I'm going to use my skid plate or if my skid plate fits. I'll figure that later on tonight or something. I'm going to spray the bumper. The bumper is plasti dipped. I like the plasti dip more than paint because it resists the rock chips and all that stuff. So I'm gonna plasti dip it, maybe sometime tomorrow, because I need to do the edges all over again and stuff. So this bumper was sitting in my sitting in my bed on the last ride. It got kind of chewed up a little bit bouncing around. So pretty excited. Now I have a full winch hooked all up. So pretty excited about it.